Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
This is the closing bell on the Stock Movers Report. The companies making moves at the close of U.S. trading with Carol Massar, Tim Stenovec, Romaine Bostick, and Katie Greifeld.
All right, guys, and just taking a quick check here on the S&P 500. It's funny, I had NI earnings up, and I was just like, have they come across yet? You've got 190 names, Katie, to the upside, 313 to the downside.
All right, let's take a look at the sector performance as we count down. Slightly more losers than winners. In terms of what did perform today, energy putting up a gain of about 0.7%. Tech up about 0.6% as we await these ginormous earnings. Materials, communication services also in the green. In terms of what didn't perform so hot today on this Fed day, real estate down by 0.9%. Consumer staples, Carol, also off by about 0.8%.
Microsoft earnings crossing the wire right now. First here on Bloomberg, we take a look at the headline number. Revenue in the most recent quarter, $81.27 billion. The street was looking for 80.3. EPS coming in at $5.16 a share. I don't have a comparison for you just yet, but here's the intelligent cloud business. $32.91 billion, relatively in line with estimates. The street was looking on average for 32.39. And we should also point at Azure and other cloud revenue, ex-FX, that was up 38% in the quarter, right around what the street was looking for.
All right. Let's go to Meta, also crossing the Bloomberg terminal as we speak. I'm going to go right to the outlook. The first quarter revenue, looking at $53.5 billion to $56.5. The street estimate was for $51.27 billion. The stock right now bopping around, but lower, just about 0.9 to the downside. Now maybe kicking a little bit higher. Let's go to the fourth quarter revenue, $59.89 billion, better than the street estimate of $58.42 billion. Ad revenue, so important. Let's see whether or not all those AI investments are paying off when it comes to getting more eyeballs and more ad revenue. $58.14 billion. That is a beat. $56.79 was the street estimate. And also EPS, $8.88 a share versus $8.02 the year before. Yeah. So again, that stock, though, a little bit lower, down about 1% here in the aftermarket.
That CapEx number,
yes.
Guys. Mm-hmm. 2026, companies saying CapEx $115 billion to $135 billion. The street was looking for about 110. So Meta and, more importantly, Mark Zuckerberg still all in here on the AI build out.
Well, to that point, Mark Zuckerberg saying that we had strong business performance in 2025. I'm looking forward to advancing personal superintelligence for people around the world in 2026. Lofty ambitions, of course, but as you can see in the after hours reaction, investors want to know, how do you translate that into actual profits and revenue and the bottom line here?
I want to go back to this CapEx here. It's in the press release. It's a headline in the Bloomberg. We anticipate 2026 capital expenditures, including principal payments on finance leases, to be in the range of $115 to $135 billion, with year-over-year growth driven by increased investments to support our Meta Superintelligence Labs efforts and core business. That is so much higher, and that is also a much bigger range than I would have anticipated, up to $135 billion to spend on CapEx.
And just adding to that, the total expense number, 162 to 169 billion. The street was looking for 151. And this really gets to the idea. I mean, we can quibble over the numbers from a fundamental basis, but we've seen this before with Mark Zuckerberg, where when he basically decides he wants to go all in something, whether it was the metaverse and the no legs people or some of the actual hardware stuff, he goes all in. Yeah. Doesn't always sort of pay off, but he certainly makes big rolls of the dice.
To your point, Superintelligence Labs, the idea of superintelligence, artificial intelligence, that's throughout the press release. The word metaverse, not in here at all. This company rebranded from Facebook to Meta because Mark Zuckerberg a few years ago was going all in on the metaverse, that pivot. It's completely to AI. I'm
going to go back to, though, Microsoft right now, down about 7.6% here.
Can I just want, but just to that point before you move on, too. The Reality Labs business, to your point, Tim, that's down 12% year over year. There's no real business there. It's $955 million, which would not be an issue if this wasn't like, a $58 billion quarter company.
Totally.
This is an advertising company.
Yep.
Full stop.
No question.
Also, when it comes, to that pivot to the metaverse, remember earlier this month that Bloomberg reported that Meta is beginning job cuts months, basically in Reality Labs as it shifts from the metaverse to its AI devices. So yes, Zuckerberg tends to go all in, but that doesn't mean also that he doesn't occasionally shift away as well.
All right, I want to go back to Microsoft because it's down about 7% here in the aftermarket. This is after the company, again, CapEx is something we're talking about a lot for these companies, but also Azure, always important for this company. Second quarter Azure, another cloud revenue ex currency up 38%. That's what the street was expecting. And I think it's safe to say with the spend that we continue to see with these companies, people are looking for even better numbers when it comes to that.
Yeah. Actually, guys, let's jump to Tesla here. These numbers starting to trickle out right now. The EPS numbers coming in right now at 50 cents a share. That does look like a beat. The street was looking on average for about 45 cents. That's all the numbers we have right now. It's going to take a while to parse through the Tesla release because, of course, they don't follow normal formatting for anything here. But those shares slightly lower in the after hours trade, 1% down.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to get some of these figures here. It is interesting to see that price targets from the sell side have been rising, even as Tesla's profit outlook really in question. You can see shares now down about 1% here as we start to get some more of these numbers, Tim.
Okay, fourth quarter gross margin, 20.1%. That beat estimates of 17.1%. Fourth quarter operating income coming in above estimates at $1.41 billion. Fourth quarter revenue coming in just shy of $25 billion at $24.9 billion. That was just below estimates. Fourth quarter earnings per share coming in at 24 cents. Versus 66 cents, that's year over year. So that was not an estimate, but 24 cents for fourth quarter EPS. Fourth quarter free cash flow, $1.42 billion. The estimate there was for $1.59 billion.
I mean, to be fair, and just listening to some of our team talk about from the Bloomberg intelligence team, what you want to hear from Tesla, there's a lot of folks want to hear about self-driving cars, autonomous cars, taxi, and they also want to hear about robotics because that is seen as the future of this company.
Yeah, free cash flow in the quarter for Tesla, $1.42 billion. That's slightly below estimates. But I want to go back to Katie's point, too, because I think she was referencing a great story that was on the Bloomberg terminal, just about how insane this valuation is. Yes. And the idea that a lot of investors don't think it's insane. This isn't really a bet on cash flow or profitability, at least not in the short term.
Or cars.
It's a bet on, exactly, Tim. It's bet on these moonshots that we know Elon Musk is great at least advocating for. Whether he actually delivers on them, that's a whole nother question. But he is the consummate salesman. He has focused our attention less on those cars, less on the cash generated from those cars, and more on whether Katie's going to have a humanoid robot to make her omelet in the morning.
Which he did say last week at Davos she would have in the next year.
Yeah, theoretically. I will say, to put it even more directly, I mean, it's a bet on Elon Musk specifically, Elon Musk's ability to sort of engineer those moonshots. You think about the Musk premium in relation to Tesla shares. We've never actually exactly found out what that is, but I mean, you compare Tesla to some of the other car companies out there. It's in just a completely different league, and it has been for years now.
Yeah, it's not even valued as an auto company. On that, investors valuing this report, at least the knee-jerk reaction, now higher by 3.8%. Shares did initially drop on the release, but now shares are up for Tesla 3.8%. Close to 4%.
The company saying that it does plan to invest further in those autonomous robots and the infrastructure for that. It also says that Cybercab, the Semi, and Megapack 3, that's still on schedule, Katie Greifeld, for 2026. So Elon Musk, once again, laying out some of these long-term looks here and saying that maybe, at least this year, we might start to see some of that stuff come online.
Well, you can see that faith expressed right now in the after-hours reaction. Let's quickly pivot here to international business machines. IBM, the red headline here, that fourth quarter revenue came in at $19.69 billion. That is above the estimate of $19.21 billion. They see their full year cash flow increasing by about $1 billion year over year. Their fourth quarter free cash flow came in at $7.55 billion. That is above the estimate of about $6.85 billion. IBM shares higher by about 2% right now. Okay.
All right, let's go back to Tesla. Again, getting some commentary about some of the future, perhaps, revenue drivers. And this is what investors are kind of banking on. But we are talking about, Romaine mentioned this, the Cybercab, Semi, and Megapack 3 on schedule for 2026. That's this year. Tesla to invest further in autonomous robots, infrastructure, and ramping 6 new production lines across products. And so we're continuing to look now at Tesla, now up about 3.4% here in the aftermarket.
You know, I'm going through some more numbers here coming out of Microsoft here. We're talking about a company with $81 billion in revenue in the most recent quarter, an operating income of about $38 billion. The company's saying, though, of that income, at least on the net income basis, about $7.6 billion of that actually came from its investments, a gain on its investments in OpenAI. I know, Katie Greifeld, you're always concerned about the Ouroboros here, this sort of circular thing here, but at least in the short term, maybe a little bit of a benefit of some of those investments here, so contributing to the company's bottom line.
There you have it.
All right, just a quick check. Meta Platforms up about 3% here in the aftermarket. Microsoft down about 5.3%. And then we've got Tesla, which has been bouncing around. That one is right now, as I pull it up about 3.6% here in the aftermarket. So we'll be looking forward to those calls with the analyst and investment community.
The Stock Movers Report from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.